For the first item, we're pleased to bring back for your review the proposed fiscal year 26 budget. And you'll recall we had an in-depth look at that previously. We have another review with some additions, which we're excited about, particularly related to compensation, not to steal Mr. Wack's thunder. And we'll be subsequently seeking your approval of this recommended financial plan at our monthly meeting this evening. Mr. Wack.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Cashwell. This evening at the monthly meeting, we'll be seeking school board approval of the superintendent's fiscal year 2026 recommended budget with some additions. The recommended budget was presented on January 23rd, and our full 151-page budget document has been posted since that afternoon. And we also held a public hearing at the February 13th school board meeting. So briefly, the fiscal year 2026 recommended budget reflects the following notable changes from the current year. Our general fund budget is increasing by about $29.8 million, or about 4.2% compared to fiscal year 2025 adopted, and that was based on the target amount we received. Our debt service budget associated with previously approved capital project debt is essentially remaining flat. The school nutrition fund is increasing by about 3.5% due to food costs. And our state and federal special revenue budgets are increasing by 2.5%, and that's primarily due to more funding for the Virginia Preschool Initiative. So overall, the operating budget from all funds is growing by about 3.8%, noting that these fiscal year 2026 figures don't yet include funding for pay raises. Those will be incorporated in the county manager's budget proposal, which will be presented on March 11th. Following input from various stakeholders, we asked that the school board make 2 additions to the fiscal year 2026 recommended budget before approving it this evening. We would like to incorporate the following. Add 100 full-time exceptional education instructional assistants to the general fund personnel complement through the conversion of 150 temporary IAs into full-time, and add 10 more English language learner teachers, which would allow us to add a total of 25 new ELL positions next school year. This can be accomplished without changing the total general fund budget by increasing the savings assumption related to vacancies and attrition. Next, I'd like to give the board an update on the state budget process for fiscal year 2026. As previously noted, the governor's budget proposal would add about $45.8 million more revenue than is included in our fiscal year 2025 adopted budget. As we wait for the Virginia Department of Education to provide an updated financial planning tool, we do anticipate the conference report budget that was approved by the House and Senate will provide over $11 million more in fiscal year 2026 revenue than the governor's proposal. So looking forward to the finalized state budget, we expect to receive about $57 million more in state aid than the current year's adopted budget. Now I'd like to summarize the fiscal year 2026 pay plan adjustments that were highlighted by the county manager and the superintendent on Tuesday. All returning full-time employees will see a 6% salary increase, and that includes a 3.628% wage increase plus 1 step. Meanwhile, over 1,000 full-time employees will see market adjustment increases between 13.8% and 19.3% when combined with the wage and step increase. The impacted positions include our custodial workers and custodians, our maintenance assistants, and both our general and exceptional education instructional assistants. Also, in addition to the 6%, we plan on giving market adjustment increases to our school-based school nutrition services staff, which can be accomplished without any additional funds. These market adjustments will be announced soon while the school nutrition services budget is finalized alongside the general fund. Now that concludes my brief presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wack. I'm sure all of my colleagues, or many of my colleagues, hopefully all, will have the same feedback, but we're real excited about this raise announcement, and we're real excited that it was able to come forth in February. I don't know that that's been the case any of my time on the board. It's had to wait until later in March or after, and so this is really exciting. This is really exciting for our employees to be able to plan and hopefully decide to stay in Henrico for next year. So thank you for both your work on that, the budget team, and Dr. Cashwell and her collaboration with the manager. I will start with other questions and comments to my right with Mr. Irving.
Thank you for the presentation. It's great to see an update with the recommended pay increases included. Mr. Wack, would you be able to provide for us any of the roles that are highlighted with the additional market adjustments, what a cumulative raise, say, one of those individuals who had been with us for 3 years now would have experienced over the past 3 years?
So if someone had, for example, a 13% raise in the 2 prior years, this would be layered on top of that, so they could be looking at 27% to 32%, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be a 25%, I mean, a quarter of your entire salary going up over the past 3 years, which I think is huge. That makes us a regional leader, and I would assume also a state leader in that category, so I'm incredibly thankful for that. I love adding 100 full-time exceptional education IAs on top of the raises that they're also going to be experiencing. I think it shows that, you know, we see them and we hear them and we appreciate the work that they do and are prioritizing them in the way that they deserve. So I truly appreciate that. And then, you know, having taught English language learner and having taught previously, and now teaching English language learner students, I love that we're adding 25 additional ELL teachers. I think that's huge. I hope that we're able to fill every single one of those openings so that those students can really benefit from their expertise. The other thing that I would like to see is, as we move forward, maybe in an off-cycle adjustment, ensuring that our front office staffs see raises as well, commensurate with the roles and the many hats they wear. I know in my building, sometimes they could do as many as 5 jobs in a given day. So I think, you know, just making sure that those people experience the same type of financial benefits is a priority for me moving forward. And I'd also like to see, as we're evaluating moving forward and figuring out our staffing allotments, figuring out how we can get schools staffed in such a way where classes such as like a biology class or an English class or whatnot can be capped at 28 students, and whatever the staffing levels need to be to accomplish that, we can kind of try to set that as our future target for upcoming budgets. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Irving. Ms. Kinsella?
Yes, thank you. I'll start by asking Mr. Irving, class size is capped. I would imagine you're speaking to high school based on the class size numbers.
Yes, I should have clarified, yes, 28 for secondary high school education, yes, okay. Not elementary or middle school.
Right, thank you so much for that clarity. Echo what Mr. Irving said. It's extremely nice to see that the team was responsive to board requests to add additional English language learner positions. I too hope we're able to fill them because our students need them. And again, not just adding 100 full-time exceptional ed instructional assistants, but the conversion from part-time to full-time. You know, we did a big study last year that was more intentional around employee voice, and we heard quite a bit for our instructional assistants. So I just appreciate the team's responsiveness to all the feedback that we received. We are nimble and responsive in Henrico, but as we all know, money does not grow on trees. So it does take time. I also want to thank the team for stipend adjustments. The clarity the team continues to bring to the pay scale in response to employee feedback. It is important that our employees feel seen, heard, and valued. I would continue to encourage the team that not only in financial ways, but also in non-financial ways, that we can value our employees, that we continue to be committed to that effort. And then that's all I have, except for true excitement over this budget. In my 6th year on the board, this is really exciting, and I share Mrs. Shea's excitement over the timing. I don't think I've ever seen it announced this early, so thank the team for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsella. Ms. Atkins?
So I concur with most of what was said. This is a significant step forward as we continue striving to enhance experiences of our students and our staff and our school communities. And so, Mr. Irving, you spoke to office personnel. Dr. Cashwell, can you give further insight into raises for our nutritional workers?
Sure. So, every year, annually, in and out of the budget cycle, our team is committed to making sure we are monitoring pay and doing market analysis to make sure we're competitive and that we are paying our individuals who are so amazing as part of our Henrico team the best that we can. So you'll see that these specific market adjustments this year focus on the groups on the screen. We've heard the mention of our clerical staff. We are working actually on an analysis for that group now, as well as some others. I think they were last adjusted in 18. So that's ongoing work that we engage in. And as Mr. Wack noted, school nutrition services, while their budget is self-supporting and not part of our general fund, it's considered alongside it, that timing, and they have worked to give increases, market adjustments, as we are for the other employee groups mentioned here, as their budget moves along. So
thank you for that. So during my tenure as chair in 2024, I had the privilege of working with each of my wonderful colleagues here and other key decision makers to bring critical issues to the forefront. And so whether we're talking about collective bargaining, working conditions, or employee engagement, ensuring transparency and fostering open dialogue is a responsibility that I absolutely take to heart. And so to Varina, Sanston, and Highland Springs and beyond, I want to be unequivocal in my support for collective bargaining, as well for meaningful improvements in working conditions, as well as in employee engagement, thanks to the many who have already undertaken extensive efforts, whether it was through surveys or discussions, analytics, all types of policy reviews. All of this lays a strong foundation for progress. I also want to give a shout out for the launch of the new dashboard on the HCPS website. It is a testament to commitment. It is a testament to transparency and accountability. And even with all of this, I find myself reflecting on a vital question, which is, are we effectively communicating the work that we have accomplished? Are we effectively communicating the work that's on the horizon so that our communities and our employees are informed and can be more engaged? I want to make sure that, with all that's happening, and there's quite a bit, that we also keep communicating all the work that's being done behind the scenes. It is time to bring it to the front. And so that really is the question. Are we doing enough in the space to share what has been done, what we're doing now, and what's on the horizon?
yeah, may I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was not out of turn. So certainly, I don't know that we can ever say we're doing enough when it comes to communication, because we know we need to adapt to the moment, the time, the messaging, and make sure that we're being responsive. And certainly, to your point related to employee voice, and much of what we learned over the last year, and based on the board's directives coming into October, knew we had a lot to focus on. Employee compensation, you see a big outcome here, prioritizing employee groups that the board mentioned related to market analysis, and that staff also prioritize bringing those outcomes to play. And we actually have a presentation planned for our March meeting, our very next board meeting, that will highlight a number of the efforts we've been working on alongside a lot of our staff advisories. I think, one of the important things, yes, is certainly communicating what's going on and how we're working on these initiatives, but equally important is involving our employees in the work. And so that often takes time. And so through our advisory committees and other avenues, we've really committed to spending the extra time to involve them in conversations to make sure that any adjustments that we're making are responsive to their needs, are meeting their requests. And so we're very excited to share progress on that at our next meeting.
I'm really excited about that because so much work has gone into surveys, so many conversations have taken place, and it's important to share what's going on right now and what we expect in the future. So I appreciate your response and look forward to the presentation in March. Chair Shea.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I have one more thought before you
sounds
turn the floor over.
Go ahead.
I wanted to catch you before you went on. Dr. Cashwell, so for that presentation that's going to be shared in March, will there be a slight recap of how we got to that point? If not, please consider that. For folks who may not have been tuned in the past, I think it's important that you always put just a little bit of a recap in that presentation as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Young.
Mr. Wack, thank you for the presentation. I echo a lot of my colleagues' sentiments with 6% raise and the market adjustment, 13.8 to 19.3. We spoke about raising the floor. I don't know if it was private or in public, but raising the floor, the minimum wage and HCPS. Did we accomplish this with the market adjustment?
So the wage increase will apply to all of our temporary and part-time employees. We have a large number of school nutrition services employees that are part-time that would see benefit above and beyond with the regrade. But again, the wage would be for every single employee.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm excited about the backbone of our schools, those custodian workers, the IAs, maintenance assistants. Super excited about it. You guys, you did an outstanding job getting us here. I think everybody up here is super excited for our employees here. So I don't have a lot to share that everyone else hasn't already shared. So.
Thanks so much, Mr. Young. Again, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Wack. A question, which actually might be better for Dr. Cashwell. When we look at converting these part-time IAs to full-time IAs, which I think is very exciting, I know the overall scheduling will change a little bit because from being, part-time for part of the school day, condensing that to people full-time. Do we still anticipate having like the adequate coverage as these roll over to have the classroom coverage and the student coverage that we need as that looks different?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't very clear there.
Yes, I think so. And I think what you bring up is an important point, and that the staffing of these positions to meet the needs of the exceptional ed students building to building is nuanced, and it looks a little different. So we have a number of temporary IAs, for example, who work nearly a full-time schedule, but not quite. For them, it's a slight adjustment. We have exceptional ed students who have varying needs and varying schedules. So there is still some place for a temporary IA, and we would remain, the division would continue to hold those positions so that they could be leveraged as appropriate. But certainly, we would want individuals who currently fill these roles who are interested in going full-time to do that. And for some, it may really be a minor adjustment as, again, their schedule may be every day for just 5 days a week, but just under that threshold for full-time.
Great, appreciate it. I think this is right by staff, and I know students are always the focus of everything you do, and so just like you said, it's nuanced. I just wanted to make sure that we had checked those boxes to do best by our students as well. And then just again, echo the appreciation for really the close work that you and the manager have done to be able to bring this 6% to our employees and on this timeline. I think it speaks a lot to the positive working relationship between us and our counterparts to be able to bring this number forward and be able to bring it forth at this time. So thank you for all of your continued work there. And then just to echo some of the excitement from Ms. Atkins and Ms. Kinsella about the ongoing work that you've also been doing on these other pieces that we heard back from the employee engagement survey in the fall. In our budget, we see the compensation, we see pieces being added for staff recognition. So I know that was in the last presentation and not highlighted here, but it speaks to the budgetary pieces of some of that, but also Ms. Kinsella and I working in policy have gotten to see some drafts of some other things that you've been working on through various staff groups and various advisories, and really look forward to that coming through, as well as, like Ms. Kinsella said, continued clarity on the pay scale for you to really spell out for us today and for employees that it's 3.628% plus a step. And so while that totals to 6, so the outcome might be the same, how it was done, for them to understand, what that looks like on the chart, I think is really helpful, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for continued work there. That's all from me. Colleagues, do you have any redirects or additional questions or comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wack.